Hi guys, so I posted about well, I'm gonna post, I haven't done it yet, about my Guinness bread pudding. This is something that I just decided to come up with, so let's get going. You know how it is with me, I'm a creative chef, so it just like the ideas just come to me. The other day I bought this pan in Massey, it wasn't that expensive. Anyhow, I got some sunflower here, margarine, and you could of course use butter or cooking spray. And I'm just gonna, especially the corners, make sure to get in here. And there's two ways to make this pudding. You could make the bread pudding and just mix up everything, all the bread and everything, just mix it up. Or you could make it and you could have the layers. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm gonna kind of chunk it up a bit, just so that the way how it falls in the pan, how it will look in the end. It's just a chunky look I'm gonna go for. Alright, so I got my Guinness here. Don't mind it is in a white rum bottle. This bottle was better for me to travel with it because it was already open by accident. So I just put it in here, but this is Guinness. Alright, we got our pan. And now we got some bread. White bread, plain white loaf. And we're gonna butter these. You can also use margarine as well, but they need to be butter with either sunflower or like anchor butter. Right, so we just buttering them and stacking them. Alright guys, so you can cut this based on how you want it to show up in the pan. It's just a design element, so just what you feel like. But usually I cut them like in triangles and I'll arrange them, so I don't want to do that this time. I want to cut them into squares kind of. So what we're doing is just holding the bread. Cutting them down. And then you're going to cut these again. And we're going to do this for all of the bread. So cut them in 9 pieces in all. I'm going to cut them 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Alright, I'll show you as soon as I'm done so you don't have to see me messing up my hand. Try them from high so that some of them will separate and not stick together too bad. Alright, so here's all of our bread. This was almost a loaf of bread. You could do a loaf. I'm just using what I had. But I'm going to make the custard now. Usually to make a custard, we do 3 eggs to about 2 cups of milk, I believe. There's different ways to do it. You can Google it. You know, it depends on how eggy you want it to be. But I know when I do it that way, that it's going to bake properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm substituting some of the milk for Guinness. And instead of using whole milk, I'm going to be using carnation milk. So we want about 2 to 3 cups of liquid in all. Let's get going. Alright, so I got my 3 eggs here. I'm going to put my sugar in first because I only want to use 1 measuring cup so I dirty up less stuff. So I'm going to put a cup of sugar in here. You're going to put the bottle of Guinness. Let's see how much we get. Yeah, what I expected, which is about 10 to 12 ounces. So that's the 8 ounces and about 3 more ounces here now. Maybe 4, yeah, there's a look like a half cup. So about 12 ounces of Guinness. Then we have our carnation milk. I'll put about 3/4 cups of that. And because this is a concentrated milk, I'm also going to be putting 1/4 cup or so of water. Smelling nice and Guinnessy. Now what we can do to this to elevate it a little bit is just put a little bit of spices. I don't like to overdo it though. Some people overdo it with the spices. If it is Guinness flavor is what I'm going for. I'm not going for Guinness cinnamon, Guinness nut, but the background spices is nice. So I'm going to put a little bit of spices to make this in the background, a little nutmeg and a little cinnamon. you wanted to get this to be more alcoholic, because this is more going to be flavorful than alcoholic, you could always add some rum to this. But I just want about a half teaspoon of cinnamon. As I said, not too much. Never too much, never too much. And now we're going to put this on. All right. We'll shoot thing and plug in. Yeah, so sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. I'm turning it on and turning it off just so that it wouldn't fly up on me, but that's why it's supposed to have a guard. And you could also just mix this with a normal whisk, which is what I should have done. But you see what we're going for here? Just trying to dissolve the sugar. And you know what I tell you, you have to season everything. So you know what it's want? A little salt, a little salt, a little salt, a little salt, a little salt. Why it want a little salt? Because it want a little salt, okay? A little salt, a little salt. Okay. Okay. You are the salt of the earth. We got good people out here doing their best. The salt of the earth. So that's looking like about 3 cups really of liquid. Just scraping out the little bit of sugar that left in here, but most of it dissolved. And I'm just gonna pour this Guinness custard all over that bread, man. If you wanted, you could have used this and made French toast. It's the same exact thing. You just fry it in butter, dip it in custard and fry it in butter instead of putting butter on the bread direct. But don't take my ideas and then go and put it and say that it's your idea, you know. So, there's nothing wrong with that actually. That's called inspiration, but whatever. And we just, as I said, I wanted it to have this look, this little chunky look. So I don't want to mix it up too bad, because if I mix it too bad, all the bread is going to break up. That's another way of doing it. You can put the whole thing in the mixer. The whole thing can come like a batter. And you can do it like that too. But this is how I want to do it. And despite the fact it has any raw egg, I think I'm still going to taste it. All the flavor is there. Now we're just going to put it into... Let me pour it the other way. Yeah. And then we're just gonna push it down. I am very good at averaging and I don't know why. It's one of my superpowers. So I didn't know how much to put for the bread. But now you see, we now get a recipe basically out of it. Good. And lastly, what I'm gonna do, I have some white sugar here. I'm just going to sprinkle this on top. Could use brown sugar as well. I like to use white sugar for my rum punches instead of using simple syrup. And also instead of using brown sugar, it's just cleaner and it makes the recipe. I don't like adding the liquid. I prefer to add the solid sugar. So that's my thing. Right, so there we go. And now I'm going to let that sit while I make some macaroni pie. Once my pie is ready to go in the oven, I can put the pie and this in the oven and bake it until the skewer comes out almost clean and it's puffed up. You don't want it to come fully clean, because what we want is we want it to have a little bit of moisture inside, but you want it to be almost fully done. And when I do that, then I'm going to serve it with my ice cream, because I don't want to pour a sauce on it. I'm going to use the ice cream, which is going to create the sauce for the bread pudding. It's going to be sexy. Watch and see. Okay guys, so because I want to save time, I'm going to be using the lowest rack, and I'm going to be baking my bread pudding, my Guinness bread pudding, on the lowest rack at 350. Oh shoot, I'm going to cover this with some foil actually. See, good thinking. Alright, so I put my foil on this here. I'm gonna put a timer on it for about 25 minutes. Let it cook internally before I uncover it where the external part will cook more. If you wanted to, you could do a lower oven and put a bain-marie, which is the water, and put it in a pan of water and all that. I ain't doing all that. Alright guys, so we got our bread pudding in here for about 25 minutes. I'm just gonna uncover him now another 20 minutes and then I'm gonna put it in the broiler to get the little bit of sugar crystal down the top, or you could use a torch. Into the broiler with him. So remember, this is my first time making this, so the other side I like the char because it gives it flavor, but now I take it out of the pan, look how perfect it looks. So I'm probably gonna cut this down this way and then this way, and I'll show you the plated product.